Hello, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Little Green Man Airsoft. I'm Matthias and today we will take a look at the Cybergun FAMAS F1 EVO. I fairly recently bought this gun, partly as part of a French impression kit and partly because I wanted to experience playing with a bullpup style rifle. When I got this gun I wanted to do some upgrades of it, but I couldn't really find any good disassembly video on the internet. So now that I've learned how to do it myself, I thought I might as well share it and contribute a bit to the community. I will do this video in English rather than Swedish, so that an international audience might benefit as well. So in this video, we will first go through a brief history of the gun, both as a real firearm and as an Airsoft replica. Then I'll talk a little bit about the features of this specific Cybergun EVO model. And then we'll come to the main part of the video, where I will first go through the technical specifications and part simulators for the Cybergun EVO model that you need to know about if you want to work on it. And I'll also do the actual disassembly. In the end, I'll talk a little bit about the upgrades that I did myself and that I recommend that you look into as well if you get this gun. The real FAMAS firearm was originally adopted by the French Armed Forces in 1978. Making it the first adopted bullpup rifle, together with Steyr AUG, which was adopted by the Austrian army the same year. The rifle is still in service today, but is being phased out and replaced by HK416 since 2017. The most notable features with the FAMAS is the bullpup design, putting the magazine and action behind the trigger. The advantage of this design is that it makes the rifle shorter while still maintaining a longer barrel length. In the 70s, soldiers had started to spend a lot of time in vehicles rather than marching on foot. So the idea was that a compact rifle was more convenient moving in and out of vehicles. It was also seen as a way to simplify logistics by replacing both the battle rifle and the submachine gun with one weapon that could fill both roles. So, moving on from the real firearm to the Airsoft replica. The FAMAS has a very special place in Airsoft history. Airsoft originated in Japan in the early 1970s, but the early Airsoft guns were all green gas models. In 1992, the RC toy car manufacturer Tokyo Marui revolutionized the sport by introducing the first soft air gun powered by an electric motor gearbox-driven spring piston assembly, what we today call an air electric gun or an AEG. That design is essentially what is copied and still used today. The first AEG model that Tokyo Marui developed was a replica of the FAMAS F1. The company Cybergun released their first replica of the FAMAS in 2009. It's more or less a copy of the TIA model, but not a close enough copy that you can trust parts interchangeability. Cybergun then released an updated EVO version of the FAMAS F1 in 2018, which is the model that I have. With that, we leave the history part and dive into the features of this replica. So, first the obvious feature, it's a bullpup. Like I said, I wanted to try experience playing with one, and it's kinda nice. It's short, it's back heavy, so it's easy to control even with one hand, and it's comfortable to play with, especially in CQB. It has a MOSFET with 3-run burst, and it's almost mil-spec in both dimensions and weight, so I even read that the French army has used it for training. Another nice feature with it is that it has a very good quick spring change. You just pop off the back lid and get direct access to the gearbox. An even better thing with a spring adjustment is they have implemented adjustable spring tension. That's super nice and something I think more manufacturers should copy. They've basically added a few centimeters in the back of the gearbox, like 2 or so, where they have threads for the spring guide. That means that you only have to pick a spring that's approximately correct for the power you want, and they can fine-tune with just screwing the spring guide in or out. That's super nice. Something that's not so nice with the gun is the iron sights. They are terrible. They are hard to adjust, and when you have adjusted them, they don't retain 0 at all, so they are basically unusable. So I recommend playing either with just instinctive shooting or slap on a red dot. The final feature I want to talk about is the sling. You see, I have a sling on here. This is an issue French 3-point sling. The FAMAS has a special sling adjustment system. You see this knob here on the bipod leg. That knob has a corresponding hole on the buckle of the sling. So you basically put the buckle over the leg and twist, and then it's stuck. It could have been kind of nice. The problem with the Cybergun is that this knob is too small, so it doesn't really stick. And that's a problem. So that's why you see I have a cord tied around the gun instead, because I don't trust the buckle. But this cord, it works kind of nice, but it's annoying that I can't use the real intended sling. So, while we're here, I thought I might as well take a minute to show you how to properly use a 3-point sling. This is the 3-point sling for the FAMAS. It basically attaches at the front, goes back through this loop at the back, and then back to itself at the middle. So this middle part can slide along the sling like this. What you do is you basically take your dominant hand and push it through this loop, and then around your head. Then you can let your rifle hang at your side like a 1-point sling, and when you need it, you just bring it up. If you don't want it to dangle, you can instead pull it up towards your chest, and it will stay there without so much dangle. And then you have 2 hands to do stuff and like climb ladder or fiddle with something. And then when you need the gun again, you just take it and push it away from your chest, and then you're ready to go. So, it's time to look at the parts compatibility. I get all my information from a very helpful forum post that I found, written by some guy named LePulp556. It's in French, which I don't speak, but it's still very understandable with Google Translate. I'll put a link to the forum post in the video description. So, here's a summary of his parts compatibility list. I can comment on the parts that I have tried. So the piston head is V2V3 standard. This means that the diameter of the cylinder is V2V3 standard as well, but the length might differ. The cylinder head has a nozzle offset down in the V7 style, so it's not V2V3 compatible. The hop-up rubber is standard, and the nozzle is supposedly non-standard, but I tried with a standard nozzle and it works. So, time to do the actual disassembly. We don't have to remove the sling actually, apart from untying this cord. But we can just pop off the back plate. One general comment I would like to make about disassembling this gun, before we start for real, is the screws. There is a million screws, and they are not of the same kind, barely any of them. So keep track of the screws, otherwise it's very easy to confuse yourself. What I found is easiest is to take the screws and retain them in the holes you unscrew them from, and keep them there until you need them again. So, back plate. Right, so first we can pop off the normal battery lid. Okay, so first I pop off this back plate. Be a little bit careful when you remove it, so you don't damage the cables in the back. And then we retain the screws. So now our goal is to get off the carry handle, and that's attached in 2 points. 1 screw back here and a plate with 2 screws under here. So So we start with the plate. Now it's loose. Okay, so this plate. Now we can just lift off this whole carry handle. So we can remove this iron sight pillar as well. Right, so the body of the FAMAS is basically two plastic halves, this one and this one, and it's held together by a bunch of screws and stuff. Well, this pillar held it together as well, but we have a bunch of screws on both sides, both on the front and the back here. And you need to unscrew both sides before you can split the gun. So we'll start doing that. Except that first we will just remove the pistol grip and the bar there. So now we can start to get the sides loose. We'll start with unscrewing this side, I think. I'll point out where the screws are first, actually. Okay, so on this side we have 3 screws. There, there, and there. And on... I can remove this. On the other side we have more screws. Okay, so here we have 6 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and there that comes loose. As you can see, this charging handle popped loose. Now I will flip this over and remove this lid first. No, actually, right now, remember, this lid goes first. There's actually a reason for that. But let's put back the screws so we remember where they go. Okay, we need to take off the right side first. I think it becomes the right side. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this. The right side first, because the barrel and the trigger and everything is basically screwed into the left side. So here we can see the insides of the gun. We have the safety that rotates around like this. We have the trigger, which transfers the trigger pull through this bar back to the gearbox in the bullpup style. And we have the hop-up adjustment, the hop-up chamber, and this attachment of the barrel to the body of the gun. So we start to remove all those parts. Now, before we can get the gearbox loose, we need to screw loose the hop-up and the barrel, because otherwise the nozzle needs to be able to come out of the hop-up to be able to remove this, and also we have the cabling here, and that goes underneath the barrel here, so we can't. Well, the gearbox is stuck until we have the barrel removed. Also, we have those two plates that's other screws screw into later. That's placed there and there. Those we also remove so we don't lose them. Anyway, so first we want to remove this plate and the hop-up. I will start with the hop-up. And there it comes. Okay, retain the screws, and we put this to the side. And now we can remove the barrel and hop-up assembly. So you see here we have the hop-up unit. It's also screwed in place here, so we can remove the outer barrel like this. But to be able to reach the hop-up bucking, we need to screw those screws out as well. I won't do that now, but it's pretty simple. Now we have also freed the cable, so now we can remove the last piece of furniture. Yeah, right, this as well. The last bit of furniture, and we put it aside. And we just have this fire selector plate left. Then we have laid bare the gearbox. So, and there we have it, the gearbox and all the furniture taken off. You see, I'm putting once again the screws in the same shape as the parts I took them from. And now we should be able to open the gearbox. I was about to do a big mistake. We should, of course, take out the spring before we try to open the gearbox. Otherwise, that's a recipe for disaster if you manage to get all your gears flying all over the room. The inner one is slightly thinner. There's more thin. There's two screws to get to the spring because they lock each other basically. Shit. Really? Okay. So I have to go get. Oh, maybe one of those fit. Otherwise, the FAMAS comes with one tool in the correct size to do this. This works. So I have it, but I need to find it in that case. but this works well as well. I think I had it all the way in actually. There we go. That's the spring guide. Now can we open it? Yes. And there's this cable here, so don't rip it so you do damage the cable. Just turn it over like this. And as always when you're working with gearboxes, you should keep track of your shims. So, working on this gearbox isn't really different from working on any gearbox, so I will stop the disassembly here. However, I will comment on the nozzle. Here is the original nozzle. You see it has a flat edge here. And here is the nozzle that I changed to. It works fine, it doesn't need the flat edge. They are almost the same length. The original one is a hair shorter than 21 millimeters, and mine is 21 millimeters. I think the difference is only like 1/10 of a millimeter or so. There you go. Always takes a few attempts. Then it works. That's the problem with all gearboxes. But I would say this is actually like, it's annoying to, it's a lot of steps to strip the gown down until you get to the gearbox. But while you get to the gearbox, when you have gotten to the gearbox, it's actually a quite nice gearbox to work on because it's not so crammed as some of the others would be. So you have quite a bit of space to work with. Let's see, trigger works. That works. That works. We could put in this when we have the gun together, but might as well put it in now. So now it's time to put it back together again. So we basically do the whole thing in reverse. Start by taking the fire selector and adding it back. Yeah, like so. Remember, all of the furniture is plastic, so like tighten it, but not so hard so you break it. So we start with the left side of the gun, because everything needs to attach there first. And we put in the gearbox, and the cabling should go here in the bottom. Then we take the barrel assembly and put it back in together with this bottom lid for this thingy. I don't know what to call it. Here is one thing. We have this round attachment point around the barrel, the outer barrel. This should attach to this point here, and I find it easier to screw this in before we screw this on. But this needs to be in place for this to, yeah, we can't put it there once this is screwed on. So place right, nozzle goes into hop up. Make sure everything lines up like so. I think we should start with the hop up. So now I can reach. Now I found it easiest to take this screw first. So now I should be able to take this lid and screw in the barrel. And then we have this little house that goes in here. Nice. Right. Now we can put in those screws as well. So I'll put in the charging handle there. It under little tension, but not much. Put those washers back. Or nuts, maybe they're calling it. And then we put in the safety. And the trigger. I should add something about the safety. And that is as when I disassembled this gun the first time, there was a small spring putting this safety under tension. So I couldn't really find, I didn't really understand how to put that spring back in again, so I actually assembled it without it, and there was no problem. It works just as well without it. Then we take the hop up, add it back in. That should make it time for this half of the gun. And we should have all the screws already in place. So I just attach them a little bit first so they stay where they should before I tighten everything down. So, once again, this is plastic, tighten it, but not so much so you ruin it. Fuck. Many of those screws, it's very easy to round them. I've started to do that in several places. That's gonna be a problem in the future. That's gonna be enough. Everything that moves should be moving is moving. Good. Let's add back the pistol grip. Here I have a tips. I put the screw on top of my screwdriver, and then I put it out the hole so it stays in place. So, time for the sight. And then for the carry handle. Right. Need to remove this first. Now it fits. That's actually a problem with my And then we have this bar that holds it in place in front. So, almost there. Now we have this cheek rest thingy back plate. Once again, the cables are a bit exposed, so take it easy when you add this back so you don't damage them. And the back plate. And voila! It's back together again. So, now that we have disassembled and assembled the gun again, I will talk a little bit about the upgrades that I've done myself and that I recommend that you look into as well. Starting with the piston head, definitely change it. The cylinder head, maybe change it. I didn't actually have to on mine was okay. The nozzle, definitely change it. The hop-up bucking, definitely change it. The inner barrel, maybe change it. I didn't on mine. But in summary, the whole compression chain basically needs to be replaced. The original one is not good. Doing that will also reduce the wear on the gearbox, the gears and the motor, because the piston doesn't slam around as much inside the gearbox. Instead it's cushioned by the air. So that means that you have less wear and the life expectancy of the gun will increase a lot. Basically with those upgrades my gun shoots hard and consistent, so I'm fairly happy with that. The other upgrades that I recommend that you look into is getting some kind of red dot, because the original iron sights are not good. And also the sling mount, it's not to be trusted. So I added a cord like this and it acts as a robust alternative, even though it's boring to not be able to use the real one. In conclusion, the Cybergun FAMAS F1 EVO is cumbersome to disassemble, but once it's down, it's pretty nice to work on. The whole compression chain basically needs to be changed because it's not good, but once you have done that, it performs well. It's a cool gun with a cool history, and it's pretty nice to play with, and it's a good part of a cool impression kit. So I would probably not recommend this gun for someone who just wants any gun to be able to play, but if you're interested in the ergonomics and the history, then it could definitely be worth the work to fix the gun. So that concludes this video. Thank you for watching and goodbye.